man. Can you walk off, sir?
I'm Shona. I'll be checking on you regularly.
20 notes, was it not?
25. You want to start a disco? So you're going to help me or what?
What do you think of that then?
Bands would be cool.
Such as?
Simple Minds.
Wait, but how much?
What's the legacy? Think the generation.
We'd like to book the Vapors, the Skids. Is XTC available?
Full house, eh?
Got to do them bigger. We'd like to book Pink Floyd, the Stones and Fleetwood Mac.
You're complete and utter fanny.
We decided to book one of your more up-and-coming bands.
Maiden.
Who?
We're after a venue.
You want any decent venue in this town, you have to ask Des Fergie.
Des Fergie.
I know what I'm doing.
Sure, my patients thought that too.
You have let your ambition blind your ability. You personally owe me 3 large.
Stick on Iron Maiden, here. Pay back Crazy Eyes and his band of merry nut jobs.
We all live happily ever after.
John Gibson.
I'm the man. Think that'd be good for a dead man.
Got this new band, going to be massive.
Who are they?
U2.
Never heard of them.
Yes, we are live. Outstanding.
That was funny. That was funny. I liked that because I watched it without the sound. It's like silent. It was really good.
Quality, mate. So, Dave, first of all, thanks very much for joining on the podcast today, mate. Outstanding.
No, great to be here, mate. I've always followed your stuff since you started. Well, about 6 months ago or whatever. I've seen loads of your interviews. Brilliant. It's really good to be here. Nice one.
Thanks a lot, mate. Thanks a lot. And I had the pleasure of watching Schemers the other night. And here, great banter, mate. Great feel-good film. And here, unbelievable story as well.
Well, yeah, it's unbelievable. It's true, though. That's the funny thing. So, how come your teeth are so white, by the way? I mean, it's absolutely astonishing. I mean, I'm kind of looking at mine, and there's something going on there. That's not normal. Definitely.
I'm trying to keep up with my weight.
You have got Tom Cruise's dentist, obviously. You've been visiting LA on the fly. So anyway,
I've been topping up on the whitening recently, mate. So Sung, yeah, mate. So watched the film the other night. Absolutely buzzing. Do you know what? It just adds. I think it adds that wee bit of extra specialness when you're from Dundee yourself and just seeing other wee bits popping up in the movie, which kept it proper exciting going through.
Yeah, it's good because it's a great city and there's loads of good locations and it just looks good, you know. And I try to get as many of the good places in that we could shoot, and I just love some of the back streets and you know that what's that place that goes down to the bridge. That windy road.
Strawberry Bank.
Oh,
Strawberry Bank.
I love that place. It's like going back in time. It's like Charles Dickens or something like Great Expectations or something. It's fantastic. Yep. But yeah, well, I'm glad you liked it. That's good though. You know? How much do I owe you for that, by the way? Checks in the post. Bank transfer coming towards you.
Few beers, mate. That'll do.
Oh, that's fine. I think we can manage that. But I'm back next week, by the way.
Yeah, mate. I've seen your comment earlier on saying that you basically got to get out of the country.
Yeah. Oh well, whatever. Doesn't matter. 150,000 other people as well. So at least I got a seat on the flight, so that's okay. So carry on, sir. What can I do for you?
Yeah, mate. So I mean, it's intriguing. Obviously, the film itself is fantastic, but it's intriguing for me to find out a wee bit about how you were able to go from being 23 when you managed to pull off that, bringing Iron Maiden to Dundee. What the story that's went from there to now that's gives you the opportunity to go back and be able to produce a movie like that.
Yeah, it's like being magical, lifelike. You know, it's been like, you know how people always say, do they believe in a second life or a third life or a fourth life and all that sort of stuff? I don't want another life because my life couldn't be any better. You know what I mean? I mean, I used to think it'd be great to be reincarnated and born again, but there's no way my life could be better the next time round. So I've been really, really lucky. And it's more luck than anything else, because I'm not musically minded or anything like that. But we just got kind of lucky. You know, we did that gig with Iron Maiden, which was, as you know, a bit of a not a disaster, but you know, it was a bit mad. And then I ended up in London, you know, booking clubs and all that sort of stuff, and ended up getting Nirvana as a sort of big band to promote, and that got us a bit of a name. And then when Kurt died, we got into management and got Placebo, and they took off, and they've been still going 25 years later. They were due to headline 20 festivals in Europe this summer. Got a big arena tour for next year. So it's more, I mean, it's just like being lucky, you know, just like, I don't know, it's weird. I mean, because I'm not musically minded at all. The only thing I've ever done on stage regarding music was play the paper and comb at Baxter Park. You know Baxter Park? My mate Derek Ness was on guitar, and I was on paper and comb playing Semi-Detached Suburban Mr. James by Manfred Mann, and I always do. That's my only claim to fame in music. That's it. So there you go.
Brilliant. But here, working with obviously massive bands like Placebo, you say luck, mate, but you've got to put the graft in. I mean, you've got to put yourself in a position to be lucky.
Yeah, I think so. It's like it's weird. I mean, I do keep saying it's luck, but it's all about who you meet along the way, and it was great with Placebo because, I mean, a lot of bands that started 25 years ago didn't exist anymore, but they just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So we got lucky because we got a good band, but we're a good combination. We're good management. Myself and Alex manage the band. So the band have got good management. We've got good artists. They're really professional. They work hard, and they're on their 8th album that's coming out, and they've done very well. But if you picked the wrong band and you didn't, you know, and you didn't make any money, you're scratching about, and it'd be terrible, like, you know. But you get a good one that travels the world, played 72 countries, which is a lot of countries to play, 72, which is definitely a lot more than like even U2 or something, because we go any place. You know, we're like, woof, we'll go anywhere. Hey, we're there, no problem. You know? So that's been an amazing adventure, like to travel the world with them, and some of the laughs we've had there has been awesome, like, you know.
Yep. So was the management first, and then you decided to start a record label?
Well, no, the promotions was first. We were concert promoters. We did the stuff in Scotland. We, you know, when we started out, 1979-80, me, John, and Scott, and another couple of Dundee boys called Scott McKenzie and George Grieve. We kind of did loads and loads of little gigs in pubs and clubs and that. And then I went to London with a dream of, I've done Iron Maiden, I'll go to London, I'll take it over, probably take me a couple of weeks, no problem at all, like, you know. so I couldn't get a job any place, like, you know. And then I eventually got a job in Walthamstow Council as an entertainment assistant. And I was hosting gigs by Keith Harris and Orville the Duck, Bernie Clifton and Emu, Little and Large, you know, Jim Davidson. It was like, wow, I've cracked it here now. Like, oh, was it like, you know, it was a bit of an eye opener, like, you know, because I kind of neglected to think that in London there was actually competition there. You know, I actually thought I could go down and take it over, like, you know. So, which was a bit ambitious to say the least. So I got sacked from Walthamstow for trying to put Sunsplash Reggae Festival on there, which was interesting because I had a meeting with my boss, and I said, I've got an idea. What we should do is we should put this, because I was put on a few reggae bands, put on Sunsplash. He says, Sunsplash? And I told him all about it, and I had the plan, and I said, but I need a budget to go to Kingston. It cost $5,000. He says, Kingston's only 6 stops on the tube from here. What are you talking about? I says, no, Kingston, Jamaica. We've got to meet up with Buddy Whaler and the boys, like, you know. So I got the bullet from that job. So that was that. And then I just got another great gig at King's College in Chelsea. I was running King's College, Chelsea, the Strand, Kensington, doing loads of bands there. That was just brilliant, like. And I got fired from that as well because I put the Pogues on. And the Pogues, the boss of the student union wouldn't let me sell tickets to outsiders. So there's about 1,200 capacity, and we're only allowed to sell students. There was only about 700 or 800 there. And she was moaning about it, saying, "Oh, you did this and did that, and blah blah blah." And this is, I had a mobile phone that was the size of a brick, you know, and I threw it across the room, and I got the chalk from that one. So that was that, and then I was kind of exiled for a while. Then I got a gig at the Greyhound. So going to the Greyhound in Fulham, which was you've had Chelsea, Kensington, the Strand. It's like you're playing for Chelsea, like or something like that. And then suddenly you're at the Greyhound in Fulham. It's like you're, no disrespect to Barnet or something like, you know, but it's like you've gone down a bit, like, you know. But
for the Premier League, for the Premiership, into that.
but that was the best thing that ever happened to me going to the Greyhound. That was the best times ever. It was absolutely hilarious. Like, anyway, sorry, I'm rabbiting on. Let you ask a question.
No, that's cool, mate. Keep it going. So was that like a wee reality check for you? Going down there?
Well, yeah, it was like because when you're at like the council, you're spending other people's money, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to book, you know, Bonnie Whaler or Misty and Roots or Aswad or Toots and the Maytals or whatever, right? You know, it's not your money, and that's fine. Although I always used to say to myself, pretend it's your money, take it very serious, right? Oh, that was always my mantra. And then I went to King's College, and that was even worse though, because that was a college, that was a university, so it was like, pretend it's your money, but you know, things got out of hand, like, you know. And I got a clause written in my contract where I could travel 1,200 miles in any radius to go and scope out bands, you know. So I was going across to France and I went to scope out bands for like, it was just absolutely pointless because it was just
Brilliant.
So then I ended up at Fulham in the Greyhound, which I used to share an office with strippers. They had strippers on at lunchtime, and they were in my office. I was in their dressing room, so to speak. So it's a bit off-putting when you're doing a deal like, you know, I'll give you whatever, kind of strayed away a bit there. And so the Greyhound was that, and that's where we kind of kicked off with the grunge thing. Kind of all happened there, really.
Yep. So when was the crossover when you eventually went on your own?
Well, on my own. So that was the Greyhound. My mate, I worked with a guy called Tony Dobson, who was a good lad, great lad. He had a good ear for music, and he and I started a company. Well, it wasn't registered or not. It was just the name was some product, and we did gigs at the Greyhound. But we always used to do it cash and all that. And then one day we booked a band called Into a Circle, which was managed by my business partner now. She's been my business partner for 30 years. She's a lot younger than me, like, you know. And so her band played at the Greyhound, and it came to the end of the night, and we're doing the settlement. And the Greyhound holds 500. So she said to me, how did the tickets go? I went, oh, we did okay. We did 283. And she goes, it looked a lot busier than me. I says, everybody says that. I mean, the amount of people that come to this venue and say, it looks busy. It's one of these rooms that just looks busy. I said, Tony, tell her. So Tony comes across and goes, yeah, it's 187 paid, 76 guests or whatever, 283. She says, you're a cheat, you know. I said, oh, you got to try it, you know. Anyway, so she said to me, you need to get organised and start a proper company. And that's when we started Riverman, 1989.
Brilliant.
So that was a long time ago. And she's still my business partner, and she's great, so that's right.
That's quality, mate. So how did the journey continue? Because you've obviously now you've been in Thailand for the last, is it 15 years? 15,
16 years, yeah. So, well, we kind of did, it went from strength to strength in the promotions. It was like, I mean, to be fair, we got lucky. The guy that promoted Sonic Youth and Dinosaur Jr., really good promoter, he unfortunately had to go to prison for a short spell. And we took over the bands that he was promoting, basically, right? And put them on the Greyhound. And it just so happened that amongst these bands, Nirvana was one of them, and Mudhoney was another. And then, of course, that gave us a springboard to do them and keep them and move them up from, like, although the Nirvana never played the Greyhound, but I think they started at the Story we put them on. So, like, you got the rest of them, the Pumpkins, Pearljam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, GreenDay, later days, the Foo Fighters, whatever.
Yep.
I probably forgot a few, but, it was awesome. And then we just did bigger venues. You went from the Greyhound, they went to University of London Union, which was up to 1,200, where Ricky Gervais was the Ents manager, which was really funny. And then you went up to the Astoria, which was 2,200. Then you went up to Brixton Academy, which was 5,000. Then you went to Wembley Arena, which was like 10,000. It just kind of progressed from there, like,
Brilliant. And obviously, every gig you're putting on, you're building new connections every time.
Yeah. It's like, tell you what, it's freezing in here. I've got the aircon on. I might need to get somebody to put the aircon off. Hang on a sec. This is on camera, but this is about. Tian, can you put the aircon off? It's freezing. It's like a fridge in here just now. Sorry, live on camera, getting the aircon off. But honestly, it's like the fridge. So you just build things up and travel around. We did tours. We went all over the country with the bands. We did like maybe 12 English shows or something like that, And that was it. And, it was exciting times,
Yeah. So going out to Thailand, what was the pull to go over there?
Well, to be honest with you, bit of a strange one this, but I kind of was going out with I was going out with this girl, and we went on a cruise. We went on a cruise up to Alaska, as you do, like Seattle, Vancouver. We had a bit of a fallout, and I got really depressed on the cruise thing. Seriously, I was on the back of the ship. It was like Leo DiCaprio in Titanic, except he was at the front. I'm the king of the world, right? And I'm at the back. Right? I'm a disaster. So I honestly, this ship had 22 decks, right? It was massive. It had about 6,000 guests, and not guests, passengers. And I honestly felt like leaping off. Honestly, did. And I remember looking at the water. It was like pitch black, and the moon was shining down, and the big propellers were going like that. And I thought I could just jump off now. And I went, "Hey, hang on a minute. What are you talking about, you daft bastard? Stop. Hold that thought, So then I went back to London, and I was still being a pain in the arse for ages. And then Placebo were, because it was mooning about and brooding and all that shit, So my partner Alex says, "Look, go to Australia. Go to Australia with Placebo, right?" I thought, right. So I went to Australia, but I got on Singapore Airlines, right? Have you ever been on Singapore Airlines?
No.
Oh, it's like everybody's like Miss World, it's like. So I got on Singapore Airlines and went, "I'm cured. That's it.
Depression over.
That was it. I was like, I was only, there was only 2 people in first class, because I'd used my air miles, and it was like I had minimum of 4 or 5 girls looking after me, and it was like, oh, this is ridiculous. And when we're getting ready to take off, the girl said, "Would you like some champagne?" I went, "Nah," because it's usually just that fizzy pop stuff. She says, "Oh, it's Dom Perignon." I went, "Oh, well, twist my arm." So I had 3 glasses before we took off, and then, it's great, superb. And it was quite funny actually, because they were doing everything. And she says, "It's time for you to go to sleep now because it's blah, blah, blah." And I went, "Okay, fine." She said, "Move across to that other seat." And she puts the bed down, Egyptian linen, nice pillows, all this sort of stuff. I get into the bed in my sleeping costume. She gets sleeping costume, my daughter calls it that. Sleeping suit, or what we call it. So I did all that. And I get tucked in, and I thought, can't it get any better than this, surely? This is like absolutely off the scale, ridiculous, So I went to Australia, and I stopped off at Bangkok on the way back. And then I thought, Bangkok, this is absolutely amazing, this place. I went to Koh Samui and all that. I met a wife here, actually, in Koh Samui. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go back to the UK and pitch this idea to the band that we should open an office in Thailand. So I met Placebo and I went, "Listen, guys, this is my plan. We've conquered Europe. We're doing great there. The new horizons, we're doing great in Latin America. We do great in Eastern Europe. The new frontier, I'm giving it this, the new frontier is Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia is where it's at. So they're sitting there going, So where's the office going to be, Dave? I went, Bangkok. And he just went, ha, because they like Bangkok. You just have to laugh, you know.
Yeah.
But I said, no, hear me out. It's a hub. It's a hub. I said, 3 minutes to Beijing. No, not 3 minutes. I mean, that'd be a rocket. 3 hours to Beijing. 2 hours 50 to Shanghai. 2:20 to Singapore. 2:10 to Hong Kong. Boom, boom, boom. We're right in the centre of it. We can make a fortune. And we did. Yep. And still nobody's put that aircon off. My teeth will be literally chattering. Yeah, so.
That's all right. Was Placebo in the Asian market at that time, or was moving to Bangkok what started it?
No, it was weird actually, because the only thing we did ever in Asia at that time was we'd stop off in Singapore and do a gig in Singapore and get like whatever it was, like it was something. And then we'd go to Australia and do great. But since we opened the office in Bangkok, when the band tour now, they do like Malaysia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea, Japan, Indonesia, Philippines. I mean, they do everything like, you know. So it's like
massive.
Oh, they make like 100 times more money, because it's crazy, like the money they get there, you know. But it's great, you know. Can't kind of complain. It's kind of worked out really well, you know.
Yep. So how did you start the process into writing and now directing?
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move and put.
Oh, you go, mate. Oh, you go. Freezing in Thailand.
Well, that explains it, right? The aircon guy come to fix the aircon, right? And that was literally 12 degrees, so. It's like it was in a freezer. So anyhow, what was that question?
No, so I was just going through obviously being in the music industry, then moving over into writing and now directing.
Well, my partner, can you hear me okay since I moved?
Yeah, mate. No, I was just fixing up for me ears.
Okay, so what happened was my business partner Alex always said to me, you should write a book. Because you know when you travel the world and you go to dinner with bands and you're meeting people, you inevitably you get into storytelling, you know. And she always said you should write a book. So I thought about that, and then it's actually too hard to write a book. It's a bit too, it's too laborious. Although I'm doing a book just now with a guy from The Guardian, which is actually going to be out in May. Look out for it. But so I thought a movie's easy, like, because in a movie, if you've got the music, you can put the music in it, right? That's good. So you have great music. Then you can put great scenery, got great scenes, got great locations, so it looks good. So even if the story isn't that great, at least you've got music and scenery. That's actually a big boost, you know. So I thought I'll do a movie. So I came back to Bangkok. I went up to Koh Samui, my favourite hotel there, the Hansard Hotel, room 3208. If you ever get a chance to go there, it's about 10 metres from the beach. And I went there for 10 days and wrote the script in 10 days. Got up at 7 o'clock, breakfast at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Worked from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, I went to the spa. 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. You know, it's like I had a routine for 10 days. And I'd had it all kind of written down in my book. And I can't do the final draft thing, you know, that final draft program you get for scripts. So I had to type it on my iPad. So I'm sitting on the second floor, beach, all that, beautiful, Koh Samui, superb. And I'm writing away on the iPad, and the amount of times I pressed the wrong button, I went, fuck. Like, you know, I lost everything again. It was like, oh, Jesus. So, but I did it. And then I came back, and then we had the script, and that was it. So then it was on to raising the money to try and make the film. So John Gibson, who you know, I never knew you knew John.
Yeah.
John.
Top man, John. Top man.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. He's fantastic because he sort of kick-started the Help Me Fund. You know what I mean? He stuck in a load of dough. And then my business partner Alex matched that. She put in a lot. Then John's business partner Ross Morrison, I don't know if you know Ross, stuck in money. So that was like boom, boom, boom. It was edging up. Then my doctor put in money in London. He's a great guy. He's an awesome guy, Jonathan Botton. And then my bookkeeper put in money. Then obviously I put in money. And Riverman put in money. So it was only really, say, I don't think I've forgotten anybody. Hopefully I've not. Ross, John, Jenny, yeah, that's it. So we got the money, and we got the money to start making the film. So that was it. That was it. As simple as that, really.
That's quality.
You okay?
Man.
Yeah.
No, just jumping on the screen there, mate. That's cool. Mate, that's mental.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened, though. And just kind of took it from there. And it's kind of like a bug now because I'm right into it. I've got another 5 films, right? But I used to be a gambler. I used to gamble on the horses, the dogs, football, all that sort of stuff, like, you know. But when I got into promoting bands, that's like gambling as well because you're taking a chance on something, like, you know. So it's kind of like you book a band, like, you know, GreenDay or Foo Fighters, or when they're little. Well, the Foo Fighters were never really little known because they're Dave Grohl on guitar. But you know, when you get a new band, like you take a punt on it, it's like you put them on and you hope they get big. So that's been really exciting. And it's the same we do the film. You kind of
felt the same, man.
Yeah, you kind of invest X amount of money, and then you think, bloody hell, that's a lot of money. How are we going to get that money back, like, you know? And then things happen. Like you get on Edinburgh Festival, you get on Rain Dance, you win a few awards in Mexico, Russia, America, whatever. People start to take interest. You get a good team around you. Monroe Films, who do the distribution, you know, they've got us in 220 cinemas, stuff like that. It's like you think, wow, this could actually go well. You know, what can happen here? So it's all about risk. There's a certain element of risk involved, but rewards can be good. But I just like taking risks, you know what I mean, and just having fun and having a laugh and just working with people I like. That's it.
Yeah. Did you hear anybody else what you brought in to help you make the movie? Because obviously, like going straight in and being a director yourself.
Well, I had people. It was a long drawn out thing doing the film, to be honest with you. We had a team at the start that didn't quite gel. Everybody tries to do their best, right? Every single person in the movie tries to do their best. Nobody goes in to make the film try to, you know, not make it happen or not make it the way you want it. But the first shoot didn't go as good as I thought it'd go, so we had to revamp the team a bit and kind of do a second shoot, which we did, you know, which was actually quite funny because the first shoot was in April, May. And it's going back really into the mists of time here to 2017. It was like being on the Costa del Sol, or it was like being in Thailand. It was roasting, right? Yeah. So we did the first shoot in May and it was roasted. But like I say, we had to do a reshoot. We rewrote loads of the scripts. I got this guy Khaled Spiewak involved, who's a great guy. He was the editor, and he looked at the first stuff we'd done, and I looked at it and I thought we could do better than this. So we brought Khaled to Thailand. We wrote 14 new scenes, recast a few people, and then we did it. Then it worked out okay. So it was basically a combination of people. It wasn't like me being I'm the director or anything like that. It was a bit like I'd say to the actors, I want you to do this, and then I'd say to Khaled, you tell them to do that, and Khaled say, I want to do that. I mean, it's like a team thing, you know. And none of them wanted to put their name down as director, so because it was a team effort. And I said, well, why don't we say it was like, you know, me, Khaled, this, that, and like a number of people. Oh, you can't do that. It has to be one name. And I says, well, okay, put it me then, I suppose. You know, that's it, really, you know. So Then we did the read, but the reshoot was hilarious because that was in January. And January, it was like, the great thing was this dazzling sunshine, but it was like -10. You know what I mean? So the scene at the pier where they're smoking the dope and that was like they were freezing. They were sitting in cars with hot water bottles and like that. And they had to come out and pretend it was summer. so that was actually hilarious. That was really good.
Is it right that's the first feature film to be done in Dundee?
I don't know. I mean, I've never heard of another one, but that's what the people tell me that. I mean, there's been TV series done in Dundee. Obviously, there was one years ago, that way before your time, that I remember that was called Jute City, I think it was called. And I always remember when it started, these guys in clowns masks, and they were, gangsters or something. I thought, wow, this is awesome, And I thought there'd be loads, but that is the only thing I can remember. And then the Martin Compston one, but that was what do you call it? That's a TV thing as well. So I've no idea about the film, but that's what they say.
That's what they say, mate.
So the story goes.
Even that as well, mate, is brilliant, can't it?
Yeah.
So let's jump back then to the start of the movie and how it begun for you, mate.
What, making the film or back in Dundee in the day?
Back in the day.
Well, back in the day, my days used to consist of getting up, having breakfast, and being on the dole and going down to Drumkeith Park at Whitfield and doing 100 circuits of it, just walking about bored out of my head. If I felt a bit excitable, I'd maybe walk to Moneyfeith and walk back again. Just really, really spinning out the day. I mean, I might treat myself to Going for Gold with Henry Kelly, who this is way before your time. Or maybe
I remember that. Going for gold.
Yeah. Or maybe if it was a rainy day, I'd stay home and watch the Sullivans, that Australian thing where we were fighting in the First World War. I mean, that was the excitement factor of my day, was really that, really. Well, probably the highlight was Crossroads at 4:45. Down. Then they get my tea and that, So
where were you? Whitfield Multis, is that right?
Whitfield, yeah. I was in the same multi as Gary Robertson, but Gary was probably about 6, and I was probably about 16. So our paths never actually crossed, and unless he was one of the kids, because I got married at 17, which
right.
And I stayed in the multis that time. And when you go to the church in these days, I don't still do it, you throw coins to the kids for a bit of scrammy. So he might have actually been one of these guys that got a who knows? Who knows? And
top man Gary,
Gary, funnily enough. I'll tell you a story about Gary in a minute, but what we talked about there, so it's just such a boring existence. But my auntie, who was a lecturer at College of Commerce, said, David, you must get some qualifications, because you're better. And I had some terrible jobs, like nightmare jobs, And so she said, go to college, get A-levels, go to university, blah, blah, blah. So I did that. Went to College of Commerce, that's where I met John, got A-levels, went to university, got sort of packed up after a couple of years. But I must tell you my worst job ever, though. Can I tell you my worst job ever? I mean,
go for it.
Absolutely unbelievable. I can't remember the name of the company, but basically it specialised in sheep's fleeces, right? But not pristine sheep's fleeces that had been laundered and whatever. No, just straight off the back of a sheep. You know what I mean? And they'd come in on this lorry, these 400 sheep's fleeces covered in shit and blood and everything like that. And our job was to pack them. It was like, oh, Jesus, it's a nightmare. But the place where we worked, all the floorboards were kind of rotting and everything like that. There was rats running about, and it was really like some of the Dickensian times. You know what I mean? And I think that was the worst job I ever had. And the boss we had was a right pain in the arse. And I remember we put him in the baler one day. It was this big baler that compressed these sheep's fleeces. So anyway, obviously, thankfully, I got sacked from that. But I think one of the best things about that job was it was easy to get a seat on the bus going home at night on the 33 because you were stinking of shit and everything, you know. So anyway, that was a spur to kind of get out of that life. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Jumping from job to job.
Oh,
do you think that you were always searching, Dev?
I had 4 jobs in one day in Dundee when I was in Man Services. I started at Whitaker Fabrics in the morning. I sent a taxi to pick me up because I thought they must think I'm a specialised tradesman or something, but they actually sent a taxi. And I went in there. It's a bit like the thing in the film with Al Ralph. He shows you around the factory. So I get taken to the factory. I get taken to the factory, and the guy says, "All right, so your name's Dave, is it?" I said, he says, "Come in here." So what we got here for you? He says, "You got this machine, and what you do, it's like in the film." He says, "You press a button, it goes like that, and then that's you." I went, "Right, okay." And he says, "It's a job for life, son. It's a job for life." I said, "Right, thank you," he said. I said, "Look, just before the start, where are the toilets?" He said, "They're up there on the right, on the top. You go up that alley there, and they're on the right." And I went, "Okay, see you later." And I went, "Fuck, that's it, gone." Left that. So I was literally there 5 minutes, right? And then I got a job. I went back to Manpower, which was in, I can't remember the name of the streets in Dundee. The street right opposite the Caird Hall, the big one, Reform Street or something, I don't know. But there was a thing called Manpower Services. They said, "Well, that didn't last long, did it?" I went, "No." So then I got another job. Go to Caledon Shipyard. So there's a job for you there. So I went down there and they wanted me to clean out a big oil drum, like a huge oil drum, and gave me a suit, and I went, "No, that's not for me." So that was the second job. Now the third job that day was someplace in Storm as well, where I was a forklift driver, although I wasn't really a forklift driver because I'd never been on a forklift, but I went there. But I always remember there was 3 Lansing Bagnall trucks, you know, these red zzz. But there was one big yellow one called a Heister, and I thought, I'm on that one because that's huge. So we had a race round the factory, and I took down a thing that brought down the roof. So I got sacked for that. And that was 3, and it was still only about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I went back, and my final job of the day was unloading a lorry that had flour bags on it. About 400 bags, 100 weight each, and I had to unload it. And my mate, well, my wife's brother at the time, Duncan Fraser, was meant to come and help me. He looked like Rod Stewart, spitting image of Rod Stewart, but he never turned up, so I had to do it myself. So then it started pissing it rain, and by the time it finished, I looked like a Pillsbury dough man, like it was covered in dough. So I had 4 jobs in one day, which I think, personally speaking, is probably a world record.
I've only chopped it. One job. I started night shift in a baker's, and I went downstairs in the middle of the night to get a fag, and I fell asleep with an ashtray on my belly. I was back in the day when I smoked, and the boy came down and went, "Here, we've got all these rolls still to be done." And I just woke up and went, "Mate, I'm off. See you later." See you later.
Was that the bakery up the Hilton? We used to go there for the mince rolls.
Came on, I was right. Do you remember Boss Hog?
Was that a band or something? Yeah.
No, that was the baker.
No, there's actually a band called Boss Hog. I'm sure there's a
band
called Boss Hog. I'll need to Google it later, because when you said Boss Hog, I didn't immediately think baker. I thought there was a band called Boss Hog. But there you go. But my Gary Roberts story is absolutely true, right? I'd always admired Gary. I'd always seen his posts, and I'd never met him or anything like that. But I'd arranged to meet him, and we went to the Mexican in Dundee about 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember what it's called. El Paso or something. It's in that street with the
Rancho Pancho. Rancho Pancho.
That was it. So I met Gary there, and I had a great night out with Gary, and it was a brilliant talk. Talked about a lot of serious things as well, actually, and it was very interesting. But he told me how he did his. He'd written the play. He'd got the rep. He'd acted in it. He'd written it. He'd produced it. He'd sorted out the deal. He'd done this. And he'd done that. And I thought, fucking hell, man, that's literally inspirational. So like I told him, and that it was after meeting him that the idea for the film actually took place, because I thought,
nice.
he was just he kind of laid out how he did his thing, and I thought, well, I think I'll get a crack, like, you know, like I'll try and write a script. I'll do this, I'll do that, and that's it. So he's a legend, like, you know, lovely guy.
That's brilliant.
Tremendous.
When I had Gary on, I asked him the question myself. Then, how do you go for starting off just writing poems in the Dundee dialect, to then go and writing a book, another book, and then eventually he's in I think it's 3 or 4 plays he's now wrote and performed.
It's amazing. I mean, he's done about 45 nights at the rep, all sold out. All these all these various his Scarface, the Bothy thing. I can't remember all the titles, but they've all done brilliant. But last time I met him, I said, I'll meet you at the tail end. You know, the tail end in the
chippy.
Yeah. So I met with. Have you ever been downstairs in the tail end where the service is fantastic?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, it's awesome. The prawns and the chili sauce and that are amazing. Everything's amazing, right? So we go there, me and Phil Stewart. You know Phil Stewart that does City Life?
I'm not sure, mate, no.
He's a really good guy. He's sort of helped me out loads on the film. So we go to meet Gary, and we're sitting in the tail end, right? So Gary comes in, and I said, what do you fancy to eat? He says, anything as long as it's no fish. I went, Gary, did you see the sign? There's a huge fish above when you come in. The tail end. It is a fish shop, like, you know. I'll just say chips in or whatever. I mean, no, they must say something else. So I just thought that was really funny, like, you know. Anything except fish, because I'm going on about how good the sole is, how good the haddock is, how good this is. I didn't eat fish, so that was that. So anyway, that was good.
No, he's a top man. Top man. I've actually put him in touch with a guy who I know who's won a couple of BAFTAs. You maybe heard of him. I'm not sure. Gary Fraser. His name is.
I know the name. I know the name.
And they've just put them in touch with each other because they're both sort of Gary's.
That's good.
Writer and director, and they've got a couple of wee things that they're working on together now as well. So good luck.
Well, my ambition is every time I meet Gary, well, not every time. I've only met him say 5 or 6 times, but we kind of talk a lot and whatever. And I really want to do a project with Gary. I don't know what it could possibly be, but I think it'd be really good. And my sort of dream team would be to get Gary and me to write something and Kyle to do the music, you know. Because I watched him last week. He's like just awesome. I love that guy. He's absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, but obviously I knew Kyle when he was younger, and he's totally transformed his life right around. But it was you who said to me like how funny he was, and then when I had him on the show, man, he had me in stitches.
No, seriously. It's one of the best things that happened to me managing him. I don't manage him now. Still great friends, like, you know. And I was so proud when we got his album in the top 40, the official top 40. Yeah. Because he's such a talent, and I think his time will come and he will eclipse other Scottish singers of his ilk. He's just a great talent. But I remember when the album was coming out on the day, because he was so keen and enthusiastic, and he had this reputation, and nobody else wanted to sign him, and I was just the manager. But I thought, like, I love him that much. Let's make a record. We'll put it together and we'll put it out. So, but on the day, he was kind of complaining about something, and I said something back to him. Like, I didn't call him stupid or anything like that, but he goes, hey, didn't you talk to me like that? I'm not stupid. I solved the Rubik Cube when I was 6-year-old. and at which point, I just kind of busted out laughing, like, you know. And then he came along to our house once. We had a big dinner thing with all the people for the movie, and bands like Sahara, who I don't know if they're still going, but a great Dundee band. The Mirror Trap, who've now turned into Echo Machine, and we had Big Lee Wilkie, and there was kind of loads of people there. And my daughter and Gary from the Mirror Trap were doing gymnastics in the garden and handstands and all that sort of stuff. And Kyle comes and goes, hey, bunch of there, I'm the expert. Make way for an expert. So he's kind of doing his handstands and all this kind of yoga stuff. He's really, really talented like that. And my daughter, who was about 11 at the time, says, Kyle, you might want to take note of that's where Pebbles does a poo. That's the dog. And he goes, my hair's been much worse than that, darling. Didn't worry about that, you know.
When I actually spoke to him about the movie, he was like, I think I've got a wee scene in there where you only see the back of my head. But when I watched it, you actually see him a couple of times.
Oh no, you see him, like, you know. And
I don't know
it's funny.
Sorry, mate,
no, my mum met him. She died before the movie got finished, but that was funny. A few things with my mum and Kyle was hilarious, but we were having a big dinner one night, and Kyle sitting at his usual seat, and she says, Kyle, now you behave yourself. Like I behave myself, Mrs. McLean. I always behave myself. It's all blown out of proportion, and nothing like that at all. I'm absolutely bang on. You never heard me swear, and I've never heard him swear for about a year. He never swore or nothing like that. He was great. And my mum said to me after, David, she said, you've had a lot of bands, but that wee laddie Kyle is the best you've ever had. He's great. So, and I told him that, and every time I say him, he says, mind what your mum said now. Mind what your mum said. I'm the best, like, you know, so he's great. It's been good fun. And Stephen Robb, another great guy, I've worked with him, and Lee Wilkie. Yeah, I saw Stephen, he's a great guy. He was in Bangkok for a while. So,
he played out there, didn't he?
Yeah, he played for Thai Port, which is quite funny because when he signed for Thai Port, in the papers they thought it was Tayport, and remember the Courier, they had that story. Steve Robb signs for Tayport. He went, Thai Port, which was Thailand and Thai Port. But what Steve did that was great was they had loads of Brazilians, Koreans, Japanese, and that lot playing for the team. But he went and sat with the Thais and learned a bit of Thai and travelled with the Thais. He was player of the year and all that stuff. He was awesome.
Yep.
And then Big Lee Wilkie came out because we had an agency together. That was hilarious with him because he was like a giant, like, you know. We went to a cup final in Thailand one day, as you do, and we went to the Intercon Hotel, and I think they made a kind of mistake in their billing on the menu because it was free flow champagne. And it was Vive Clicquot, right? You know, free flow Vive Clicquot. That works, doesn't it? It's like an advert. And it was salmon and prawns and lobster and all that. So anyhow, we had a competition, and my PA, this girl called O, me and Lee had 12 glasses each, and there was 12 of us there, including Brian Jacks. Remember Brian Jacks, who did the Olympics, like the superstar sports? Just sort of Google him in. He was as well. So me and Lee had 12, and my PA had 13. 13 Thailands. 13 glasses of bubbles. Then we went to this football match. It was 100 degrees of heat. It was like carnage. But anyway, it was great. Lee's a great guy. I love him as well. Top of it, you know.
Brilliant. You're going for all my guests.
All right. Yeah. Well, I've watched a few of them, like that.
Top man. Can remember him I've knew Lee when we were young. Came for the top of the hull and great guy.
There was one day when Lee arrived in Bangkok. We're in the traffic, and the traffic here is terrible. And he's going, "Fuck, this traffic's really wild, Dave. How'd you put up?" He says, "I said you just need to get used to it. It's a bit of Buddhism, a bit of Zen. You just kind of get used to it, like, you know." So we're still stuck for another 20 minutes. He says, "Dave, I fuck knows how you could put up this." I went, "You just can't. You get in the zone, like, you know." And this one, and this kind of went on for about another 20 minutes, and I went, "Oh, for fuck's sake, this car never going to move." He goes, "So much for being in the zone, the Zen, karma. What happened to that? That's gone out the window, like, you know." So that was quite funny, like, you know.
How do you deal with the traffic right there, Dave? Do you just work while you're moving?
Yeah, I just watch Netflix. I've watched that much Escobar, bloody El Chapo. What's the other one that's really good? The really good one with the little guy with the moustache. What's it called? Like all these drug things. I watched them all. I've watched them all. I can speak fluent Spanish now because I've been watching them all in Spanish. Like, you know, can't remember El Narcos. It's called Narcos. Yeah, Narcos Mexico. All that stuff. So you just sit and watch it. Like you kind of get in the car. Sometimes it can take you 30 minutes from my house to get to the office. And then another time it can take 2.5 hours or something. It's like there's no rhyme or reason to it. But you kind of work out you've spent probably a quarter of your life sitting on your arse in the car watching Netflix, kind of getting stuck in traffic. So it's a bit mad, you know.
Yep. So this Friday, mate, it all kicks off.
Yeah,
Excited?
about.
Anxious? Bubbles in the belly?
Well, I'm kind of excited. Yeah, I'm excited because it's on 220 screens, right? So it's got a chance at least making some money back. But then again, every day you pick up the paper and you see this is shut and that's closed and that's shut down. You can't do this, can't do that. So I'm just happy we got it out. We'll get mixed reviews. We gave it a go. We've made a film, and I'll do another film that'll be better because I've learned from the mistakes. People say a learning curve. We could say that again. That was a learning curve. So, we'll see what happens. People either go and see it and like it, or they'll go and see it and don't like it. But whatever it is, you know. And you've got to be in it to win it. That's all I can say. You know? Got to be in it to win it.
Well, yeah. After watching it the other night, I think there's going to be like, especially people for Dundee will hear that wee sentimental aspect that, like, definitely.
Well, I did it because I love Dundee, right? And Placebo have played in 72 countries. Now, I've not been to 72. I've been to maybe 50 or 55 or something, right? And all over, like, you know, Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Russia, whatever, Canada, Australia, every place. It's been a beautiful, amazing, fantastic, privileged journey, right?
Yep.
To manage that band and do what I've done in life. But every time I land at Heathrow, come back, I usually get the train, although I don't know why, because sometimes I get stuck for hours, but I kind of quite like tootling up on the track. But the thing I love most is coming over that bridge. It's Dundee, man, and I love it. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. And when I'm feeling depressed and stuff, if I'm abroad or in LA or New York or something like that, and there's a lot of crap to deal with or whatever, I just think, hey, where are you from? Whitfield, Dundee, getting about it. As Gary Roberts say, get in amongst it and sort it out, you know. And that's what I do, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I do love Dundee, and it's not just saying it for effect or anything. And I'll be back next week, so let's meet up, okay?
Yeah, 100%. So when you're coming back next week, what's going to be the story? You're going to need to stay here for a while, or what's?
What's the story, Jack and Ori? That's it. Well, the fact of the matter is, it's going to be, as far as I can see at the minute, very difficult to get back in Thailand because the last time I was there, I couldn't get any reaction from the visa people. It was kind of very slow in that. But hopefully, I can come for a couple of weeks, get my visa sorted, come back to Thailand, stay in a hotel for 2 weeks quarantine, where I just found out today you're not allowed to drink or anything, which is astonishing because I'd had it all planned. I'd had my 14 bottles of Yellowtail, well, not 14, 7 bottles, half a bottle a day. I thought I'll get my 7 bottles of Yellowtail, lovely. I've got my weights, I'll kind of do my stuff, I'll be happy. Then the girl at the hotel said today, oh, Coon Dave, they call you Coon Dave like Mr. Dave. You're not allowed alcohol when you're quarantined. I went, what? Oh my God, I'll need to rethink that entirely. I'll need to, I don't know, do yoga, or meditate or something. So, anyway, so that's the plan. So hopefully I'll get back in about 3 or 4 weeks. But
what's the thoughts behind that then, that they're stopping the bevy?
Well, I have no idea what that is because they stopped alcohol in Thailand for 2 weeks. Well, it was maybe 2 weeks, but they cut it into 10 days. I think it's because people mix and they're drinking and they go out and have parties. But there's no COVID here. There's nothing. I mean, we've not had a COVID case for months. We're 56 deaths. 56 deaths in 8 months. Yep. But they banned alcohol for a while. But I can't see the point of banning alcohol in your room. I don't quite get the logic of being in your own room and not being able to have a glass of alcohol. But it's where there's a will, there's a way. That's what I think. Where there's a will, there's a way. In Thailand, I'm sure I'll find a way. You know, I don't know, because I quite like to relax with a glass of. I've not had a wine yet tonight actually, because my meal will be getting served up in a minute. So I'll have a wee glass of wine now after this and relax. But I'm just looking forward to getting back and seeing people in Dundee. Looking forward to seeing John and Kyle. Maybe meet up with you. It'd be great.
That would be great, man.
Ross Morrison, who put money in the movie. My business partner Alex got loads of deals with Placebo to do. So it'll be cool, you know.
Yep. What's coming in the future then, mate? Any bands that are coming through or anything like that?
I've got a new kid called Alyssa Janine Woolman. Google her in. Alyssa Janine Woolman. Remember the name. She's half German, half Thai, and she's a rapper, and she's awesome. So that's my next big project. That's taken off very well. Just got the big deal out in Asia. But she's great looking, great kid, great personality, no ego, great worker, half German, half Thai. Oh, she's just awesome. I think she's going to be huge. I've got the Echo Machine Boys have got an album, which is, it's like the Killers, you know, it's like up there, it's huge. Yep. Huge sound. I've got them on loads of shows in Eastern Europe. Got Placebo album is the best they've ever done. I mean, honest to God, I mean, they've not done an album for years. And then I went back and I heard the songs back in February, and I had my little notebook, and I always give them marks out of 10, like, you know, I'm going 9, 9, 10, 10. 8. I'm going, ah! And then I went out of the studio going, yes! This is the best album they've ever done, and I'm not joking, it is. It's like just brilliant, you know. So that comes out in April, May, then they've got 80 shows booked for next year. If they happen, that'll be great. If they happen, make loads of dough. If they didn't happen, well, that's just the way of the world. I'm in a lucky position. Just, you know, whatever happens, happens. Everybody's in the shit with this thing, but I'm a lot luckier than most. I'm blessed, really. I'm totally blessed, right? So I'm a...
Because you run a festival over in Thailand as well, don't you? Do you still do that?
No, it was only one I did with Oasis, Snow Patrol, Ian Brown, Placebo, Franz Ferdinand, and all that sort of stuff. That was a long time ago. But we were offered $2 million sponsorship, and which was great. The Thai promoter loved the sound of $2 million, right? But I went to Mexico, and by the time I got to Mexico, it come down to $1 million. And by the time I came back from Mexico, it had gone down to $500,000. So the Thai promoter said to me, he says, is it really necessary to have Mr. Franz and Mr. Ferdinand? Can we not cut the costs? I went, no, I don't think so, mate. It's a band, you know. So that's
brilliant.
So,
well, Dave.
Yeah, sorry, carry on.
On you go.
No, it's okay, carry on. Well, Dave.
Nah, I'm just going to say, mate, it's been an absolute blast.
No, it has been a blast, and it's been brilliant. It's awesome. I've admired what you do, really do. I've watched quite a few of the podcasts, and what I really get from you is a positive, amazing buzz of energy. It's like get up in the morning and okay, I need a little of a kind of fix for the day. I'll go in and see you going, okay, we're live now. I'm buzzing. And it just kind of gets me going. I think that guy's so full of zest. Zest's a detergent or something. You're not full of zest, are you? But you're full of life, you know. That's a soap or something, you know. But you get my drift, right? So good luck to you, and God bless, right? And I'll see you next week, okay?
Super, mate. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for the support as well, mate. Tuning into all the shows. Outstanding.
Absolutely. Take care, mate.
Have a good one, my man. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. Peace out.